Welcome back to the second video of 5 for the Gibby O'Brien Halloween Spectacular. In the first video of the Gibby O'Brien Halloween Spectacular, we ranked the kills in the Fear Street Trilogy. It's a great... And today, we'll be staying with the Fear Street Trilogy because we will be going from kills, ranking kills, to ranking characters. Because it's ranking the characters in the Fear Street Trilogy. We have 47 kills to go through, and this is actually going to be very quick for some of these segments. We got one sentence for each cat, one sentence for some characters, a couple of sentences for others, and then the further we get up the character ranking, the more I will be talking about, the more stuff I'll be saying about it. But yeah, we're going to quickly go through it. So we're going to start with number 47. In 47, we're going to go from 47. We're going to quickly go through 47 to 40 very quickly because same specific reasoning why they're so low. In 47, we had Rod. 46 we have Jesse. 45, we have Sean. 44, we have Jeremy. 43, we have Kurt. Stacy. 42, we have Stacy. 41, we have Sheila. 40, we have Joan. Rod, Jesse, Sean, Jeremy, Stacy, and Joan were Shadowsiders and were just there for the body count, while Kurt and Sheila were there to antagonize Cindy. And Kurt and Sheila were there just to antagonize Ziggy. Hence why they're 47. Hence why they're all 47 to 40. In 39, we have Grace Miller, and 38, we have Mrs. Fraser. Grace Miller and Mrs. who's Hannah Miller's mum from part 3, and Mrs. Fraser, who is Sam's mum from parts from part 1 and 3 are both overprotective mothers. They're both very overprotective of Sam in Mrs. Fraser's case and Hannah in Grace Miller's case. So they're both very overprotective mums, and they're also very cold. They're also very cold people. They're cold, overprotective mums. Hence, a low placement on the list in 38, 37. In 39, 38. In 37, we have the widow, who yet again, just like the characters just like Rod, Jesse, Sean, Jeremy, Stacy, and Joan were there for the body count, but she's a bit higher to the other cats who are only there for the body count, due to the fact that she was much more important to the story. Next up, in 36, we have Nurse / Mary Lane. This is from parts 1, 2, and 3. Yet again, another mum, but this time not super, but we don't know much about her as a mum to Ruby Lane. She was there she was in all 3 films with small parts, with not much weight, but she was a nice character in this show. Whenever she was in a scene, it was nice seeing her, and she was At worst, she was just there. At best, at worst, she was a grieving mother. At best, she was just there. In 35, we have Arnie, who is high. Two reasons. One, he's a junkie, and junkie characters are some of the best characters you'll ever watch in a movie. And he's the first kill of the second film, which adds a bit of weight to his character. That logic is also put into consideration. That logic is also put into context. That logic is also used when talking about number 34, because number 34 is Heather from part 1, who, just like Arnie was the first main kill, in a Fear Street, in one of the Fear Street films. This case, Fear Street Part 1, 1924. She wasn't the first character to be dead in Part 1. That was 3 dead, because 3 dead bodies were found while she was running away from Skullmask before being ultimately killed. So she's not the first kill of the film, but she's not the first death of the film or the trilogy, but she is the first kill of the film, because we don't see the deaths of the people in the 3 people in the mall. We just see their dead bodies, so it doesn't really count as a kill. But yeah, Heather, like I said, is the first kill of the first Fear Street film, and became very popular after death. Plus, was very important to the growth of Shadyside as a community. Without Heather being killed, Shadyside wouldn't, be in high spirits during the pep rally. In part 1. In 33rd, in the 33 spot, we have the Grifter. In all 3 parts. He's a good Shadyside killer, but for me, he was the least memorable of the core of the Shadyside killers. Just about edged. It's not anything against the Grifter. He's just a big brute, and that's really all he is. Billy Barker is number 32. Just like Grifter is a good Shadyside killer, I do have him above the Grifter, being a bit more memorable. His small stature, his choice of weapon, a giant baseball bat, and he's also in 33rd because a lot of the characters above are better than him, including the remaining Shadyside killers. 31st, we have Solomon Good. As far as main antagonists, as far as original and as far as characters go, Solomon Good could be considered in one word. He's a bad bad person. His second name definitely does not tell people what person he is, what a person he is, because he is not good. He is, as Martin put it in part 1, mother effing evil. He is mother effing. When it came to Nick Good, Martin in the first part of Fear Street said to Nick Good, mother effing evil. So to quote Martin, Solomon Good was not good. He was mother effing evil. He's the villain that started it all. But other than that, he was a big and huge letdown. There wasn't that big of a fight between Sarah and Solomon. And also the fact that he, after hearing his backstory about his wife and kid dying, you thought, oh, that's sorry for your loss, Solomon. But then he reveals that he was the one who sacrificed them. And then we found out he was the one who killed him, and you're like, what the fuck? Why is so much a change? You go from revealing the story about him, losing his wife and daughter, and then you come and reveal that he was the one who killed his wife and daughter. It just doesn't make sense. Where they were going with, it felt like where they were going with Solomon Good was great, but then they ruined it with the twist. But then they ruined it and kind of helped it with the twist at the very end. It made the character Solomon Good better, the twist, but it made his actions more awful. So yeah, Solomon Good, choose that down, 31st. We're up to the top 30 with 30, and in 30 we have Caleb, who is a douche, who simply put it is a douche, who got owned by Sarah Fear, which made him really fun to watch, hence a pretty high placement for a character who wasn't that prominent in part 3. Next up we have Sarah's brother, Henry, who was a good brother. He's a good brother to Sarah Fear. Henry is a good brother to Sarah Fear, but he was most certainly there just to add to the numbers for when it came to the body count. So, hence his low rating, and hence his low ranking. That's going to be the same. That's the same with Constance. Yet again, just like Henry, great character. Obviously, okay sister to Cindy, okay sister to her. She was an okay sister to her own sister, but she was a decent person. But she was a good character. But just like Josh, was mainly there for the body count. 27, we got Will Good. He's Nick Good's brother, and that's fine. He's okay. 26, Mad Thomas. He was a very interesting character because he's obviously by name a mad person, but he was just fun to watch. I think him being called Mad Thomas just made him better. So yeah, I had to put him high. In this case, 26th. 25, we have Ryan Torres from all 3 parts. One scene showed promise of Ryan. One scene is all Ryan Torres needed for a very high placement. Because after one scene, great character. One scene, Ryan Torres had one scene. He was great in it. Then he became a sheer slay killer. So 25 it is for Ryan Torres. 24, 23, and 22 we have our Sarah Fears. We have Sarah's friends. We have Abigail, played by Emily Rudd, who played Cindy in part 2. Abigail. Isaac, played by Fred Heschinger, who played Simon Calivoda in part 1. And Lizzie, played by Julia Rayvout, who played Kate in Fear Street part 1. Abigail is, like I said, played by Emily Rudd, and is Emily Rudd's second best character, but is very memorable. Isaac, like I said, it is Fred Heschinger's second best character. Is obviously like I said, Simon is played by, Isaac is played by Fred Hechinger. Isaac is, so yeah, that's Abigail, Isaac, and Lizzie. And then the explanations we got for them were Abigail, Emily Rudd's second best character, but memorable nonetheless. Isaac, Fred Heschinger's character, second best character, but memorable nonetheless. Lizzie, Julia Rayvout's second best character, but memorable nonetheless. And they have a high placement on this list. In 21, we have another suicide killer, this time the Milkman from parts 1, 2, and 3. For me, the Milkman is the best. I think he's the best suicide killer when it comes to makeup. But when it comes to screen time and effectiveness with that screen time, not too much. And that's why he's got such a low ranking, despite being the 4th best suicide killer, and despite having great makeup. It's due to his screen time. And also being a lot less memorable than the characters from 20 to 1. 20, we have Alice from part 2. Alice was a shaky friend towards Cindy, but came through when it mattered the most. In 19, We have Gary, also from part 2. One of the better camp counselors one of the better Shay camp counselors from part 2, Shayside and Sunnyvale. But he was also there for a body count, but his high position is due to the fact that I actually really enjoyed Gary's company. Next up, in 18, we have Peter, who I thought I would rank a lot lower than 18. But the reason why I put him in 18, he may be a douche. But he's definitely more memorable than a bunch of the characters below, including a character played by the same actor who plays Peter, Caleb. And Peter got a very effective death as well, just to add a little bit of spice to his character. Great character, great kill. Finishes 18. In 17, we have Hannah Miller. She's Sarah Fear's love interest from part 3, and is a really nice character. Olivia Scott Welch does really well with everything to do with the character. Yeah, perfect performance from Olivia Scott Welch. Great character. Deserves to finish 17. Deserves 17. 16, we have the young version of Nick Good. It was very cool to see a younger version of Nick Good. We were obviously so accustomed to his 1994. We're obviously accustomed to the 1994 version of Nick Good in part 1, but in part 2 we got to meet a new young Nick Good, and I think he was really fun to watch, despite knowing. And even after watching the third film and finding out the twist, no matter how many times I rewatch Fear Street Part 2, I will always like the young version of Nick Good. We're now into the top 15. In 15, we have Tommy Slater from Part 2. He became the Camp Nightwing Killer before he could make a huge impact. But before transformation, he was a nice and caring person towards his ex-girlfriend, Cindy. 14, we have Sarah Fear, who's obviously the original protagonist of the trilogy and is the character who started it all. Due to impact, easily gets a high ranking, but the 13 above her are just for me better characters. In 13, we got Cindy Berman from Part 2. Cindy is an interesting character. She is very influential in the character that her sister Ziggy would become. And just generally, it's nice seeing Emily Rudd's performance as this overprotective sister to our main character from Part 2. 12, we have Skull Mask. You can't get much better than a blatant, you can't get much better than an homage to the iconic killer that is Ghostface. Skull Mask, very memorable. Obviously, was probably part of the best scene in the entire trilogy when it came to Kate's death in Part 1, which we talked about in the previous video. And it's that plus the fact that he's just got a cool mask. He's an homage to Ghostface, who's one of the greatest horror movie antagonists of all time, who we will get to very, very shortly, who we'll talk about in a future video. And as an homage to an homage to Ghostface and Scream, pretty good. Nick Good is in 11th. I like him slightly more than his younger self, because when he's the police officer in the first film, and you don't know he's evil, he's great. But when he becomes evil, he goes insane. And despite the big reveal, I found him a good character before and even after the reveal, which I didn't when I originally wrote the script for this video. I've changed my mind since I wrote the script for this video. Now we're into the top 10. In 10th, we have young Ziggy Berman, played by Sadie Sink from Part 2. She's obviously the main protagonist of the second film and has a great relationship with the young version of Nick Good, and eventually would have a better relationship with Ziggy, with Cindy, before both of them died, and before Ziggy was revived. So yeah, Ziggy, the young version of Ziggy Berman, great relationship with the young version of Nick Good, and just overall great performance from Sadie Sink. And yeah, love Sadie. Love you, Sadie. Yeah, you've killed it again. You killed it as Max. You killed it as Ziggy. Thank you so much. 9, we have our penultimate shady side killer, and it is the 1978 Jason-inspired murderer, the Camp Nightwing killer. The Camp Nightwing killer slayed his movie and victims. He slayed his movie with style and an axe, plus lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of, you guessed it, killing. 8, Martin from parts 1 and 3. He was a small part character in part 1, only appearing in a couple of the scenes. However, he is broken down as a character in part 3, and he's very influential by the end, as he helps Dina and Josh end the She's Like Us. 7, we got adult Ziggy Berman, or after she survived the 1978 murder spree, Christine Berman. She is a wise and older version of her younger self, and is, just like with Martin, a very influential character in ending the She's Like Us. Number 6, we have our main protagonist, along with Sarah Fear, our main protagonist of the first film, our main protagonist of the second film, and our main protagonist of the third film, along with Sarah Fear. The inseparable Dina Johnson. Dina is the main antagonist, like I said, of the whole trilogy. But she isn't the best sister, nor the best sister. She was not the best sister, nor the best protagonist. She was slightly unlikable as a person, but she has a great love story with Sam, and it's definitely and her love story with Sam is definitely the driving force of the movie, of the trilogy. So yeah, despite being, for me, in my opinion, slightly unlikable and not the best sister or main protagonist, the fact that she, had a great relationship with another one of the main characters, and the fact that Netflix had the guts to have a same-sex couple, a same-sex love interest team heading the film. 2 females head. A female relationship heads the Fear Street Trilogy, and Dina and Sam are both at the heart of it. Especially Sam, but Dina definitely does her job. 5th, we have the final and my favourite shady side killer. We have Ruby Lane. What makes Ruby Lane stand out over the other shady side killers is for 3 things. And 3 things. Murder spree was definitely the coolest sounding murder spree of the ones we didn't get to see on screen. But yeah, like I said, 3 great things about Ruby Lane that makes her my favourite shady side killer. Her murder spree was the most interesting and most cool sounding murder spree of the motorpiece we didn't get to see in the trilogy. Number 2, her death was incredible. The fact that you going crazy as a Shadeside killer and then slitting your wrists, nasty way to go. And finally, her trademark song. And then finally, Ruby Lane's, and then like I said, finally, Ruby Lane's trademark song, "You'll Only Hurt the One You Love," which is a song she would always sing when she appears on screen. Her fight with Simon near the end of part 1 was also one of the best scenes of the first film, behind a specific bed slicer scene, but also one of the best scenes from the trilogy, in my opinion. And Ruby Lane, due to these things, makes 5th. 4, we have Sam Fraser from parts 1, 2, and 3. Her love story with Dina, like I said when we were talking about Dina, drove the story of the trilogy very well. It was a great performance from actress Olivia Scott Welch, known for Panic and 2 appearances on Modern Family. She misses out on the top 3 because of a lack of activity in parts 2 and 3 when she's turned into a Shadeside killer. Just missing out on the top 4 due to the top 3 being just the best 3 characters in the trilogy. In 3rd, we have, and due to a lack of activity in parts 2 and 3 after she's turned into a Shadeside killer. In 3rd, we have Simon Calivodia. Simon is like I said in the previous video, is a junkie, but with a big personality. He made me laugh a lot and has the 2nd best death from the Fear Street Trilogy. Try and check out why in my previous video for this Halloween. He was also an interesting character throughout the first film. Plus, there was also a very good performance from actor Fred Heschinger. Number 2, we have I'm gonna quickly leave you guys in this room. I'm gonna quickly leave the video on for now. I need to quickly go into the lounge room. I'm then waiting to collect my tablet charger because my tablet is almost on the verge of running out and I need it. I think, fellas, it might be upstairs, so I'll be upstairs for 2 seconds. I'll be back in a little bit longer. I'm still looking for my charger.
Galaxy chocolate tastes good to you. Wouldn't it be great if it did good for others too? By 2030, we commit to help 1 million people.
And that's why I'm wearing the trousers, because it's part of the Halloween costume.
Just a little button pleasure.
Okay, I am back. I am back again. I am back again, guys. We're going to continue on with this second video of the Give Me a Pine Halloween Extravaganza. Let's see. Let's quickly work out where we got since I left to get my charge. Since I left to get my charger. We got to Josh. Josh is my second favourite character in the Fear Street Trilogy is Dina's brother, Josh. Josh was, this is past tense. Josh was my favourite character of the Fear Street Trilogy for such a long time. After the first watch, he was my favourite character of the trilogy. However, I've since watching Fear Street for the first time, I've rewatched all the Fear Street Trilogy films 3 times, and every time I've rewatched it, Josh has started to trend down, and number 1, and the character who's number 1 now started trending up, and the character who's number 1 now, who was originally number 2, started rising up. So Josh I started to think about my favourite character. I've started to think more about who actually is my favourite character. And Josh ended up going down ended up declining every time I watched the trilogy over and over again. After the third watch of the trilogy, I just fell in love with number 1 so much that I had to keep her number 1, and she probably will be number 1 for a really long time. Even if I did this exact same list at the end of next month, Kate, I assure you, would still be at number 1. Number 1, the character at number 1 will be at number 1. You already know. If you were listening, you would know who's number 1. But you could probably work out who's number 1 from me mentioning it earlier. But yeah, because of my multiple rewatches of the trilogy, I had Josh dropping down in my ranking, and I had number 1 going up in my ranking. The current number 1 going up in my ranking. But Josh didn't drop down in my ranking enough to not finish in second. In first, my number 1 favourite character from the Fear Street Trilogy is Kate Schmidt. Kate is, for me, one of the most perfect characters that I have ever watched on screen. She's funny, she has a big but bearable personality, which with girls like Kate, you think you're gonna get something a little bit more rowdy, but she's got a big personality, but it's very cool, nice to be around her. She is wonderfully played by Julia Rayval, who, like I said, is in the previous video, is joining the cast of One Piece Season 2. But there's the one thing that I could think on, the one thing I was able to think about more as I watched the Fear Street more than once, was one thing about Kate. Well, not one thing about Kate as a character, but one thing about the character of Kate. Julie Raybould, who plays Kate. Kate was actually Julia Rayboud's film debut after acting in 2 small shorts. And, you know, the fact that Kate could be so good and be played while being played by a first timer is absolutely outstanding. And like I said, and the previous video showed it enough, the kill really helps her character, because at least if you could go out the way, at least she went out knowing she did her best. And that is why, for me, and many other reasons, and that is why, for that reason and many other reasons, that Kate is my favourite character from the Fear Street Trilogy. And that is it for the second video of the Gibby O'Brien Halloween Extravaganza. In the next video of the Gibby O'Brien Halloween Extravaganza, we will be going through my top 10 movies from the decade we're in so far, so 2020s best. So that means my top 10 favourite films from the 2020s so far. And that includes films from 2020, ranging from 20, and that includes films from 2020 to 2024, and it being Halloween horror movies, not 2020 movies, 2020, not movies in the 2020s, horror movies in the 2020s. Until that video, subscribe to my channel. Until that video, subscribe to my channel and click the notification to catch up to know when I do post that third video. Until that third video and the final 2 videos, I'm out. Peace. Bye.